All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the Jets have made their final pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, and it was a roller coaster day. We already have one video out talking about the first 2 days of the draft, basically round one and round two for the Jets because we didn't have a third round pick. Today was day three, and we had a bunch of picks. And so let's go through how we did. They started out pretty good. Now, I'm working on this article for Chemtrails, the Frankie from Flatbush Substack. You can subscribe, frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Subscribers will get this tomorrow morning. And as you can see, I'm still editing it. But this is totally free. Sign up for it on Substack. Substack's a good and growing platform. Would highly recommend it. So we got our column here. So the first pick of the day was great. It was Darrell Jackson, defensive tackle, Florida State. I gave it a grade B. Jackson is a huge monster of a presence in the middle of the defensive line, 86-inch wingspan, 11-plus inch hands. Will help with batted balls, block kicks, you name it. Exactly the kind of mauling brute force needed for a defense that has been way too soft at times for the last few years. There are some questions about his maturity, though, keeping the grade from being higher. Nicely done. So we stayed where we were. We got a guy. This was about where he should have gone, according to consensus, so that was not a problem. Here you have the spider chart, and you can see they give him a high motor, so that's good. For a guy this big to have a good motor, that's a good combination. Now, he's not the most athletic dude, but okay. Now, here's where the problem came in. It was a quarterback, Cade Klubnik. We gave an F- for this one. Now, this caused a lot of teeth gnashing in Jetland, but that's because we traded up and we got a guy that was not anywhere near this number on consensus. And so this is going to be a theme for this front office, which is too many trade-ups for no reason. You could have got this guy at your natural spot, which was 128 at the time. More than likely, there was no need to give up 128 and 140 to go all the way to 110 and get Cade Klubnik. Now, if you stayed at 128 and took him, it would have been much better. It wouldn't have been great because Cade Klubnik is no good. But now the other thing to think with Cade Klubnik is Frank Reich really wanted this guy. This is a Frank Reich pick. So let's give him some time and maybe he'll be able to get something out of him. Maybe it was all Clemson that was a screwed up team. And because if you think about it, Cade Klubnik, here's his face. He was a 5-star prospect and very highly regarded. He has athleticism. He has a decent arm, but it didn't work out, and he didn't look like he knew how to play quarterback when when he got in there. And so the question is why. He has the athleticism. He has the arm talent. He has okay size. I mean, he's a little undersized, but he's fine, 6'2 plus. But maybe they can get it out of him. I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it. But then we trade up again and go into the 6th round to get Anez Cooper. So another trade up, and we're giving up draft capital to get a backup. Now, this Cooper kid, this is a pretty good report. So the reason this grade is low is because of the trade up. We could have stayed where we were and got the guy. But instead, we trade up, get him, and this is a guy who plays in a phone booth. He's going to help if he needs to go in, he's a backup for us. If he needs to go in, he's going to keep your quarterback from getting killed, and that's a good thing for a backup. I mean, he's not going to be doing fancy things like pulling out and doing all sorts of things and run game and things like that. But he has a good anchor. He's big, tall, and strong as hell, and he's basically just going to prevent your quarterback from getting killed if he needs to go in there, which is fine for this. But there was no need to trade up to get him. This is essentially an Xavier Newman replacement. As you can see here, he's physical as hell, power. He's very powerful. He's very strong. Now, the other thing to know about Anez Cooper is this dude is a trash talker. Fans are going to like this guy once we get to know him. I tell you that much. He's a trash talker. He tries to get under your skin. So this is another enforcer between him and Darrell Jackson. These are our goon squad people who are going to go in and give people a black eye, verbally or maybe even physically. So we got that going on. But then we had to wait a long time because we traded all those picks, and we had the last pick was VJ Payne. Now, this may save the whole draft because this kid had a fourth-round value on him, fourth, fifth round. We got him in the seventh. He may be our starting safety that we picked up in the seventh round. What? So that's a good pick. Good value pick, I say. Payne brings the pain. Ha. Against the run because he's a former linebacker turned safety. Also covers pretty well. Solid pick, and this might be an A-plus if he turns out to be the starter next to Minkah. If you think about it, Minkah can go back to the free. We have D'Angelo Pons. He can play the slot, the nickel, and this kid can play the strong safety. You can see he's got good explosiveness, good in run support, but not the ball skills. Well, if we put him in the box, we don't need him to have ball skills. Good size. And overall, I'd say this is a solid draft for Gang Green, with the blemishes having to do with trading up for players where no trade-up is needed to acquire them. For example, we could have added another wide receiver and a kicker in this draft if not for unnecessary trade-ups. So where does this leave our roster? Well, as you can see, we're still a little light in the wide receiver ranks. Now, maybe they think they can get something out of Arian Smith. I don't know. I would think UDFAs are going to heavily skew toward wide receiver position. Everything else is pretty good. We got our backup interior lineman. You might say, well, who's the backup center? Because we didn't get anybody to challenge Josh Myers. But if Josh Myers gets hurt, don't forget, Joe Tippmann can slide over and so can Parham. So our backup centers are Tippmann, then Parham in case of injury. And then Cooper would go into whatever guard position, and then Max Mitchell. So that's a way to look at that. Hartwig probably will not make the roster. Now, we're particularly strong at tight end where we weren't before, so that's good. And if I were the Jets, I would go ahead and sign Tyrod tomorrow and make him quarterback 2 and Klubnik quarterback 3, and that looks a little bit better. And, Klubnik's there as developmentally, and maybe he could be a backup someday, and maybe he can't. But if he can't, that's going to be a black eye for the club just because of all the needs we had. And you can see here, even though we had 4 draft picks on the defensive side, we still have Mozzie Smith involved in this, and that's no good. Now, that's a former first-round pick, so maybe Carl Dunbar can get it out of him. I don't know. But, we didn't do anything with the linebacker situation, so Michael Walker and McCrary Ball are some of the backups. That's not terrific. Then you have this defensive backfield here. I love D'Angelo Pons. I think it's going to shake out where Thomas and Stevens are your starters. And then you have decent backups in right, and hopefully Stiggers can show you more than he has. Then you have this interesting safety stuff with VJ Payne. If your starting strong safety is a 7th-round pick, that's pretty good. But I don't know if he's going to be good enough. There's obviously going to be competition. You have Dane Belton and Malachi Moore. Now this moves, these two are definitely making the team. And that moves Andre Sisco, who's on a vet minimum deal, all the way to safety 5, which is much better. So that 7th-round pick of VJ Payne, now assuming he can play, like if we took him in the 4th round as was projected, people would say, oh yeah, he's definitely your starter. But he was projected to be 4th round, fell all the way to the 7th, so maybe he's going to start. And if he does, that's a hell of a pick. So the defense is looking a lot better these days. We still need some work. Can we sign a Cam Jordan? Can we sign a Tyrod Taylor to move Klubnik out to 3rd stringer? And then we got to address place kicker. We have Cade York and Lenny Krieg there now. I'm sure we can sign a kicker or 2 as a UDFA, no problem. And so that needs to be done. Let's sign a couple of wide receivers as UDFAs. Let's sign a kicker. Let's sign some defensive tackles, and some linebackers. You can always find linebackers around somewhere. So let's sign some of those to challenge these people for their positions here. And that's all we really need, and we're going to pretty much go to war with this roster right here, pretty much. It looks like, unless there's some trades. But like I said, maybe we could sign a Cam Jordan. The AG knows him from the New Orleans days. Maybe we could sign a Tyrod Taylor. Maybe we get a Tyler Lockett in here for some veteran presence as a wide receiver. Something like that. But overall, pretty good. Could have been better without the trade-ups. But overall, pretty good. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also join the Inner Circle for $2 a month. You get tons of extra stuff. And extra insights, emojis, you name it. And why not? It's $2 a month. Click the join button down below. And consider going over to Substack and signing up for the newsletter. Comes right into your email inbox, totally for free. Check the free option, and all the articles are going to be free going forward. So check it out. Frankie from flatbush.substack.com. And with that, I will see you next time.